What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, folks, Trump hasn't even been inaugurated yet, and the manipulations from the corporate press have already started. Check this out, y'all. Trump's second term could realign U.S. diplomacy toward authoritarian leaders. Yeah, here we go, folks. We've got liberals seething all over the place. People crying. I saw a news article earlier where colleges all across the United States certain professors have shut down classes so their students could take in the loss. The loss of Kamala Harris, that is. What? Like, come on. Do you really need a safe space? Like, why don't these colleges prepare these kids for real life? In real life, you have to deal with failures, as a matter of fact. So giving them a safe space, giving them time to breathe, to soak it in, if you will, it's just ridiculous. Come on, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, seriously, you're going to have to deal with it. It's not going to be that bad. Trump is going to make your life a whole lot better, whether you like it or not. Hopefully. I'll say that, hopefully. I'm pretty sure he will. He's already doing it. Already. Let's get into it, though. Hungary's fiery right-wing leader says Donald Trump's victory will help his own battle against immigration and multiculturalism and restore traditional family values. Now, what's so wrong with that, you say? I have no idea. In Argentina, a president who once bear-hugged Trump at a political conference in Maryland is attacking his critics as rats and parasites, ranting against what he calls a corrupt elite and calling climate change a socialist lie. Now, that term climate change, yeah, they left something out. The climate change agenda is a socialist lie. Now, the climate is absolutely changing, and we need to be good stewards of the climate. I always talk about this. But the hoax that the corporate press and this climate agenda has perpetrated upon the United States citizenry has melted the minds of liberals all over the damn place. These people think that the world's going to come to an end in 10 years. 5 years, something like that. If we don't change our ways, if we don't shut down all the coal-fired power plants, by God, the world's going to come to an end. It's just going to explode and everybody's going to die. It's an existential threat, you guys. That's what they try to get across to you. We should knock ourselves back to the late 1800s before the Industrial Revolution. Or the mid-1800s, whenever the Industrial Revolution kicked off. Before that, in other words. Yeah, that's what they want. They want it like the Wild Wild West, kind of, without the guns, of course, because they don't like guns, and they need to have safe spaces for everybody. That's what I don't get about these people. Don't understand them whatsoever. Trump's second term could realign U.S. diplomacy away from traditional international alliances and more toward populist authoritarian politicians, according to both those leaders and outside observers. Oh, who are these outside observers, Associated Press? I would love to know. This is what I don't get about the Associated Press, man. They try to come off as centrists. They're just journalists. By God, they've got an entire, like article of ethics that they put out on how journalists should act and how they should go about doing their work. But they're a left-wing activist organization. Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about the corporate press, y'all. 2 days before Tuesday's election, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban made a daring prediction. Donald Trump will be president again, and that means by the end of the year, pro-peace political forces will be in the majority in the West, Orban told state radio. That is right. What is wrong with that? Are they saying this is a bad thing? Like, really? Pro-peace? Oh, you gotta love... This article is so manipulative, y'all. It's just outrageous, some of the stuff we get into, especially when we get down to Putin. Oh, yeah, Putin's in here, too, y'all. Gotta love it. Orban has been accused by the European Union of burying Hungary's democracy by dominating media and building a network of loyal oligarchs. He has worried foreign leaders by drawing closer to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ooh, such a threat to democracy. What Orban calls illiberal democracy has stigmatized civil society organizations and cracked down on LGBTQ plus rights. What exactly are LGBTQ plus rights? Because as the way I see it, at least here in America, I understand outside of America, sure, you can go ahead and make that argument, but right here inside the good old US of A, yeah, everybody has the same amount of rights. You don't get more rights because you identify in a certain way, because you have a specific sexual orientation, or you come off as queer, or you're something different other than normal people, if you want to call it that. Right? What is normal anyway? But outside of that, these people, they're constantly, we're fighting for civil rights for LGBTQ+. What are those rights? I've never heard anybody give me a definition or a list or something of the rights that this certain specific group is supposed to get more than everybody else. Because that's what it boils down to, essentially, is these people want more rights than everybody else just because they identify a certain direction. I'm sorry, that's not how the United States works. It's not how equal rights under the law work in the United States. Every man, every woman is created equal under the law in the eyes of God as well. But some people don't believe in God, so whatever with that. They don't have to believe in God for God to be real. That's what I say. But, this isn't a theological video. We're just talking about corporate press manipulations. Speaking of that, if you're new around here, do me a favor, please. If you don't mind, I would appreciate it, y'all, if you could subscribe to this channel and smash that like button for me. It really helps, y'all, and I need the help. As you can see, it favors retaining power, even if that means contravening traditional Hungarian allies' interests. Right. Trump has avoided publicly criticizing Putin and has consistently spoken warmly about him. Okay, give me a quote where he has actually spoken warmly about Putin outside of him saying he's a fierce guy or he's smart. Because that's not speaking warmly. Those are statements of opinion that could go either way. Because you could be a good guy and be smart, or you can be evil and also be smart. So, and fierce, that doesn't really seem to have any positive connotation to me at all. Fierce is just, a fierce guy. I don't know how else you would put it. Somebody that comes in is strong-armed. That could be interpreted as a bad thing. But how does the corporate press interpret that? No, he speaks warmly about it when he calls him fierce and smart. I'm sorry, man. I still make this point. And if you can come up with an argument down in the comment section, an opposing argument, juxtapose my argument, just because you call somebody smart doesn't mean you're speaking positively about that person. Come on, reconcile that for me down in the comment section. There's clearly that sort of authoritarian-minded chemistry between them, said Nigel Gould Davies of the International Institute of Strategic Studies in London. That chemistry aligns with Trump's admiration for other authoritarian leaders, some of whom were elected by systems that were once democratic, Gould Davies said, noting Hungary under Orban as an example. Trump has claimed that he will bring an end to Russia's war in Ukraine within 24 hours, an assertion welcomed by the Kremlin, which currently holds an advantage on the battlefield as well as roughly 20% of Ukrainian territory. Yeah, but what they're leaving out is that Ukraine also holds Russian territory. Yeah, they invaded Ukraine. They invaded Russia. That is right. So that is mutual combat at this point. At some point, you could argue that, hey, look, yeah, Russia's evil and they're bad for doing this. And you could even still argue that, hey, it's justified that Ukraine invaded Russia. But it's no longer just a defensive battle, right? They went on the offensive and took territory, for crying out loud. I really wish they wouldn't have done that. Why not focus all your forces into pushing Russia out? That kind of doesn't make sense to me. But once again, I would love for you guys to reconcile that down in the comment section. That would be great. Moscow may hope that Trump will sow dysfunction in NATO, given his demands that other members of the alliance meet agreed military spending levels and his warnings that Russia could do whatever the hell they want to those who fail. Why is that a bad thing, to force NATO into paying upon their agreements? Right? They agreed to pay this much to their own military, and he's excoriating them for not doing so. How is that a bad thing? Right? Like, these people, they don't know how to take sarcasm, for crying out loud. Like, Trump didn't say that Russia could invade those countries. No. He's just telling them, look, they need to pay their fair share. This is something the left should champion, right? The rich paying their fair share. The government paying its fair share, right? We have an alliance. We have an agreement. You need to live up to that agreement, or you can kiss that agreement bye-bye. What is wrong with that? Once again, let me know down in the comments. Gould Davies observed before the election that the Kremlin would welcome Trump's victory because of his apparent desire for the war in Ukraine to end on terms favorable to Russia. Now, when has Trump ever said that he wants the war to end in terms favorable to Russia? Somebody please give me a quote, give me a link, give me something down in the comment section, because I have never heard Trump. He just wants the war to stop. That is all. That doesn't mean that it's favorable for Russia. You see, this is what's wrong. This is why the left is seething and crying and having to take breaks from college and take days off from work, because they're so shocked. Because the media, the corporate press, continually lies to these people, and they just keep eating this garbage that comes from the corporate press. So they're living in a bubble world where nothing is real. Everything is fed nonsense that comes from these. Right, like there were all these polls that were coming out saying Kamala Harris was going to win. Wasn't even close, was it? Wasn't even close. But you had all these polls. Kamala Harris is up. Kamala Harris is going to win. As a matter of fact, was it Kyle Kulinski, I believe? I saw a tweet a couple of weeks ago where he was saying that it might have been a week ago, whenever that Iowa poll came out. Y'all remember the one where it gave Kamala Harris like 3 points or something like that? She was up 3 points in Iowa. The Seltzer poll. Yeah, he was actually thinking that Trump could take Iowa and Florida, for crying out loud. Like, that's absurd on its face. Like, but this is the delusional world that these people live in, because they're being fed this garbage, and that's what my channel is supposed to be for. But you get these liberals coming in, and they just immediately turn it off. They just immediately go away. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear that the life they have been living, the reality that they have been fed, is a lie. It's a giant lie. Right? They don't want to go do their own research. They're lazy people that just want to get fed something and get shocked when come to find out it wasn't true. It's crazy, y'all. Putin and other authoritarian leaders will be encouraged by Trump's re-election, which will mean much less emphasis in American foreign policy on the importance and value of human rights, Gould Davies said. Huh? What are you talking about? Trump's foreign policy was better than any other president in my entire life. Going back, all the way back to 1981. That means Reagan as well. Trump's foreign policy that's what Trump brought to the table. I can't even name how many peace agreements that were signed. I know of a couple. We had peace agreements in the Middle East, several peace agreements in the Middle East. You had the Abraham Accords, and there were several others. I just don't remember the names right off the top of my head. But he made peace with North Korea after bringing us to the brink of war with North Korea. Right? He went over there and freaking shook hands with Kim Jong-un. And what did the corporate press do? They railed against Trump while he was calling him Little Rocket Man, saying, oh, Trump's about to kill everybody. He's about to start World War III. And then they excoriate him for crossing the demilitarized zone and shaking his hand saying, oh, he's in love with Kim Jong-un. Like, which one is it here, folks? Does he hate the guy or does he love the guy? They make no sense whatsoever. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is one of the country's both beloved and polarizing political leaders. Under Modi, Hindu nationalism, once a fringe ideology in India, has become mainstream, and nobody has done more to advance this cause than the 74-year-old leader. Some critics believe Modi's politics have divided India, especially along religious lines. He was accused of using hate speech, define that please, against the country's minority Muslim community, especially in the last phase of election campaigning this year when he ramped up rhetoric against them. Like, somebody define hate speech for me, please. Please. To his supporters, Modi is a political outsider who broke the country's history of dynastic politics. His rise has been boosted in part by promises to overhaul India's economy, but also by Hindu-first politics that have resonated widely in a country where 80% of the population is Hindu. No surprises there. Yeah, I don't understand these people's insistence on just dropping your religious values whatsoever. Our country is based upon religious values, and they want us to just get rid of this. Like the left they were just screaming and crying about Louisiana ordering to have the Ten Commandments put on a placard in every classroom in Louisiana. Just put it on the wall somewhere. All of a sudden, that turned into indoctrination. They started yelling and screaming about separation of church and state because of a poster on the wall. That's it. They don't have to teach the Ten Commandments. They don't have to mention the Ten Commandments whatsoever. It just has to be in the classroom on the wall, right next to that picture of MLK. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Our society must be based on moral values. And what better moral values than Christian moral values? Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Don't covet thy neighbor type of stuff. Yeah, what is wrong with any of the Ten Commandments? Yeah, nobody can answer that question. To his critics, Modi has strained democracy and threatened India's secular fabric, while his attacks on media and free speech have grown in more than a decade of his rule. Now, I don't know anything about Indian politics, not in the least, so I can't comment on that. Like Trump, Erdogan projects an image of strength that prioritizes national interests and relies on populist message that presents him as a champion of common people against elites. What is wrong with that? Nothing. The Biden administration has kept Erdogan's government at arm's length, but Trump and Erdogan have cultivated a cordial relationship. That's despite a series of differences between their countries, like when Trump's administration removed Turkey from the F-35 fighter jet program in 2019 over Ankara's purchase of a Russian-made missile defense system. Okay, so in the real world, liberals, people can have disagreements and still be friends. We don't just shun people from society because they don't agree entirely with our worldview. No. We have honest and open discourse in this country. We have disagreements, like should we be funding the Ukrainian war type of thing. And we can go back and forth and say, hey, I don't think we should be doing this. You think we should be doing this? Please explain yourself. Oh, military-industrial complex. I don't think that's something we should be funding. Oh, well, it funds American jobs. That's a good point. Do you see how that works? Do you see how that works? That makes a good point. Now, funding American jobs and funding a foreign war aren't mutually exclusive, though. But not to get off into the woods on that. The president of Argentina has a brash style like Trump, rebukes multilateral institutions like the United Nations, and has taken a disdainful approach to diplomacy, snubbing meetings with the leaders of traditional allies like Brazil and Spain. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be allied with Brazil. Not at this point. Not right now. Spain? Yeah, not so much. For many observers, the most worrying parallel involves Milei's claims that last year's presidential election in Argentina was rigged against him. That, along with his efforts to downplay the atrocities of Argentina's 1976 through 1983 bloody military dictatorship, has raised concerns about his impact on democracy. Do you really think a libertarian president of Argentina it has any sort of parallel to a totalitarian dictatorship? Those are the farthest things from the same thing that you can get. They are on the opposite ends of the spectrum, for crying out loud. Milei came in and everything, all of the damn federal government and, the departments. Just started cutting departments left and right. We don't need this. We don't need that. And it didn't take very long for the federal budget to have a surplus. Imagine that. And I'm hoping Trump does the same thing. That's right, because if Trump is going to get rid of income taxes, we need to cut government spending by a lot. By a whole hell of a lot. Although I will agree to most people out there, I don't think we're going to have income tax cuts. I highly doubt it, y'all. I think we're still going to have an income tax. Although the taxes on tips will probably get through. Yeah, taxes on overtime, that one might get through. I give it a 50-50 shot. You never know. But income tax in general? Yeah, I don't know. He would have to raise corporate tax. Or at least keep it the same. If you're going to do that, buddy. The income tax, we take a lot in income tax throughout the year. That's a lot of money. And we got a big government, y'all. We got a huge government. That's got to be funded somehow. However, I do think there's a lot of bloat. That's why I'm loving the fact that Elon Musk is teaming up with Donald Trump to have a government accountability office. Oh, or was it a government efficiency office? Office of Efficiency for the Government? Something like that. I forget what it was, but that's going to be great, because if Elon Musk can do to the federal government what he did to Twitter, we're going to be in really good shape, y'all. Really good shape. The military is going to be top notch. We're not going to have any worries from China. I can assure you of that. Any worries at all from China. But I can see how Elon Musk might get a little bit greedy and give maybe a little bit more funding to NASA, considering what Elon Musk, and SpaceX. I can see that's a concern for some people, but you never know. Hopefully, he takes the Twitter route, cut a bunch of government employees, cut a bunch of departments that we don't need, because there are several departments we don't need. The Department of Education is one of those. I think states are perfectly capable of setting curriculum. We don't need a federal curriculum, for crying out loud. Right? Let the states be competitive. Let them be competitive. Competition is only a good thing. There's only positivity that comes out of competition, for crying out loud. And liberals, for some reason, want to get rid of competition. That's why kids these days, you get participation trophies. You get a literally. I told my son about this when he got a participation trophy. I said, don't think that's some kind of accomplishment just because you participated. That's not a good thing that they gave you a freaking trophy for participating. That's ridiculous. You've got to cultivate competition between kids. Then kids can rise up. That's how we get people like Elon Musk, like Mark Cuban. People like that. That's how we get that. But let's keep going. Milei congratulated Trump on his election victory Wednesday by posting an image on Instagram of the two men hugging in front of their nation's flags. You know you can count on Argentina to carry out your task, the caption reads. Now, make America great again. Analysts say his cash-strapped government, badly in need of support from the U.S., the largest stakeholder in the International Monetary Fund, has been betting on a Trump win. What are you talking about, strapped for cash? Yeah, right, they've got a surplus of funding, as a matter of fact. Or at least they did. What was that, 2 months ago? I covered an article talking about this. 2-3 months ago they did. So, yeah, I don't think they've gone under in that amount of time, but you never know. I think this is just the Associated Press lying, but I'll have to get into that. I'll have to research that a little bit. Milei's administration is pinning its hopes on the idea that Trump could exert pressure on the IMF to lend more money to Argentina, its biggest debtor. Now, that's idle speculation from the corporate press, folks. And they're handing it off to you as news. Liars! The fund is weighing whether to lend Argentina more cash, which Milei's libertarian government needs to fully re-enter the world market and exit currency controls. During Trump's first term, the IMF granted Argentina, at the time led by conservative President Marcy, a controversial $57 billion bailout. Mariano Macchiato, principal analyst for the Americas at Versk Maplecroft, a global risk intelligence firm, said that while U.S. institutions and separation of powers are designed to prevent autocratic rule, Argentina is now going back to a phase where the very parameters of its institutions are being pressured. These people are deranged as hell, and they don't understand what libertarian is, I guess. Libertarians would love it nothing more than to obliterate government outright. Milei coming in and just slashing federal departments from his government. That's not autocracy, for crying out loud. That's the opposite of a dictator. That's the opposite of somebody who's just there for power. They just want more power. By relinquishing control? By dissolving institutions? Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not buying that, folks. And don't let these people lie to you. It's contradictory. But I imagine there's lots of people out there that will read that and be scared. Oh my goodness, these people are dangerous. And think to themselves, how could these people get voted into power? It's because they're living in a made-up, delusional world created entirely for your entertainment and your delusions. So when you do get slapped with reality, you need a safe space, folks. You need to go off in the closet for a little while and process what just happened. That's absurd to me, and I'm not going to live like that, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm going to point out manipulations anywhere and everywhere I can. Yeah, because it's garbage, folks, what is coming out, what has become of our corporate press. They just lie and perpetrate frauds on the American people on a daily basis. And it's just absurd to me to watch these people and watch these libs seething over a Trump victory. The popular vote, y'all. He won the popular vote, and he's already coming out with videos talking about what he's going to do. He's ending gender affirming care. Thank goodness. Getting rid of that. We don't like our kids being exposed to some left-wing, some crackpot gender ideology garbage when they're confused already. They need leadership. They need to be shown this is what you are. You need to come to terms with that if you're questioning your own body, for crying out loud. They need to know that this is what you are. This is how you were made. You can't unmake what was already made. I am sorry. Deal with that in whatever way you can. That's what gender affirming care should be. Is letting them know, affirming to them what their gender is and how to go about accessing everything you need to access that your gender provides you, in other words. Hopefully that came across how I wanted it to. But I think we're getting off topic here and I'm running long, y'all. So I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Don't forget, y'all, smash that like button, subscribe, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, because I really need your help, y'all. So y'all do me that favor, and y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.